Welcome back, guys. I'm going to show you my new layout. I may show you a tiny bit of what I'm going to do, pointing out a few things, but then I'm going to cut straight to what I've done. I think people want to see what I've done more than what I'm going to do, so here we go. Right, so we have had a real good strip out. Tracks have been taken out of the floor, ready for my new seating setup. I've started removing some of this flooring just to see how well it does come up. I'm going to try to be a tiny bit cheeky. Instead of changing the whole floor, because obviously I've now got these holes in the floor, my new seat protrudes out to about here. Hope that makes sense and goes along there. And then my furniture for my kitchen comes along and stops about here. So at one point of like the catch point, the pinch point, it's only actually about 400 mil. I'm gonna try to make a video without the dog or the baby interrupting me, but I'm gonna try and with a real sharp knife cut across there, put my new piece of ply in the floor, and then actually make a join. Because it's such a busy floor anyway with all these different strips of bamboo, I think I could join that. I've seen a couple of videos, join that seamlessly right at that pinch point, and it would just save all of the work of trying to cut and remove it all around this shower cubicle and things like that. Which brings me on to the fact, I think at the moment I've managed to keep the shower cubicle in its entirety. I had to remove the ceiling just so that I could unscrew the timber ceiling strips, and I managed to actually pull them out. I could have cut them with a multi-tool, but when it comes to putting my new ceiling on, I think a nicer job would be to sail my ceiling through and past that as opposed to cutting around it, because that would have to be a really perfect joint. For everyone that's watched my everything that was wrong video, you'll know that I'm moving my boiler. That's the original location, the boiler flue. Just started unscrewing it. Obviously when I remove that, I'm going to be left with a hole. But if you have watched my video, you'll also know that I didn't like my water filling station. So that hole will become the new home for a water fill spot on the outside, and the flue will have a nice new hole further up the van in that box seat that I'm creating. So yeah, I'm quite lucky. Obviously when you're moving things, that's probably one of the only things that I've drilled through the let's call it the face of the van, even though it's not the front, but I think that's the only thing, the only time that I've drilled through. So here's my new water filler. Much happier with that being outside now. So you can actually get a replacement filler, or a replacement cap that is a filler, should I say, where you have a hose lock and you click it straight on and you haven't got to sit with it and it doesn't make a mess, that kind of thing. And then as soon as your tank starts overflowing, you know it's filled up. While I'm out here with the camera, I thought I'd show you the Bullfinch shower. I've moved to the passenger side on the outside of the vehicle, because like I said in my everything that's wrong video, when you disconnect the hose connection, you get probably half a cup full of spits that go down, and previously it was actually inside the van. So now that's on the outside of the van, that doesn't really matter. And also, that being there, when you're under the awning, and like I said, I'm going to reduce the size of my sink, so if we've done a lot of cooking or made a right mess, I can just grab a bucket, come on out here, and I've got hot and cold water there, so I can wash up until my heart's content rather than running inside and outside. If the baby's asleep, he can just be left alone, kind of self-sufficient out here. Dog wash out here, bike wash, that kind of thing. So that, I think, is going to be a game changer. So let's fast forward a bit, guys. I don't know how much of I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that I'm going to keep in, because people don't want to see what you're going to do, they want to see what you've done. So I've taken care of the step. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen that. Looks banging. I never finished the step the first time round because I knew I was making changes, if I'm honest. So that looks great. I bought the kitchen unit forward, and Evo Motion, they really hooked me up. I think they feel sorry for me because I spent so much money because I keep getting it wrong. They actually allowed me to buy this panel with a extension of 180 mil. This would usually finish at floor level. And I literally said, can I have a panel G, or whatever that is, I think it's an F. Can I have a panel F, but could you make it 180 mil longer? So that sits down into there now, which gives us a lovely little cubby hole through there for shoes, dog paraphernalia, anything like that. So that looks great. It just finishes that off. Look, you know, I've taken care of all of the little bits now that I'm happy with the layout, so happy with that. Excuse that, that's not finished. So here's the new home for the Truma Combi. I'm doing a separate video on this seat frame because there's enough to talk about on that alone. Absolutely fantastic. So the frame is in, a two-seater. I've got Isofix on the way as well. I've actually bought the furniture to create the seat from Evo Motion. Once again, a bit like this fella up here, sometimes you've just got to pay the money. I'd need to buy a sheet or so anyway. So for that little bit extra, it's done. All the hinges, all the trims, everything's done. I haven't got to get my head around what goes where and what holes need to be where. So that's ready to go because I'm in a bit of a rush. So the seat frame is going to cover that. A couple of vents are going to come out the front. And I may toy with eventually, because it is basically a square box, having that as a pull out across here to create a small bed, because that'll do my boy up until he's about 5. I don't know, how big do they get? 5, 6 years old? Until he's about 18. That size there. So that's where that lives. Moving on. This is what I wanted. This is exactly what I wanted. I wanted the hob closer to the atmosphere, if you like. Get rid of all the smells. Lovely and clean. Lovely. When this is down, you know, that's still a work surface. Make some butties, put your cups on there, whatever. This sink is big enough. I'm sure it is. With the outside tap out there, anything bigger than that. I've got a big collapsible bucket. Take my washing up outside if it's any more than a couple of plates or a couple of cups, that kind of thing. We are not going to cook in here massive, so it's usually making brews, making toast, crumpets, bagels, that kind of thing. So that I'm happy with. Got the mixer tap, hot and cold water. I have reverted back to exactly how they sell this product. I went ahead and begged them to make me another line of drawers. So once again, I said, can I have an A, B, G, all of the drawers and things like that. Going to do a separate video on why I got rid of them. Mainly it's weight. Also, don't need that much stuff. Don't need that much. So this is called a V2 Sprinter pod. Apart from that panel that I explained on the front, which I've had extended to make it a over the door kind of unit. This is out the box, how it is. I've sacrificed a drawer for the grill. Wanted the grill. That was a must-have for me. Love that. Sacrificed a drawer. Shower stayed exactly how it is. Apart from the fact, hope you can see, my boiler used to be the other side of here. So my hot air used to come through there. I'm just going to leave that in because it's nice and waterproof as it is. Might add a bit of ventilation, who knows. Not worried about that. I'm going to get one of those white covers to cover that. It'd be lovely and symmetrical because they're exactly in the same place. And my hot air is now coming from the boiler, which is the other side of there now. So that's the only thing in here that's changed. This is my layout. This is what I was after. So we've got all of this extra floor space. I'm going for a U shape here. The garage isn't going to be as tall as it used to be, but also what you got to remember about the last garage is my boiler took up all of that space across there. So I had this bit in the middle and then electrics, and the electrics are still going to go there. So I've sacrificed a tiny bit, maybe a bit of height. And once all this mess is cleared out, and I'll put a false panel, just like a 3mm ply false panel across the bottom there. That's going to be a lovely amount of storage for bedding. There's nothing worse than having your sleeping bag or quilts out on display. So when the bed is in its seating position, that'd be a lovely big storage bin to just stock all of our pillows and all that. So I'm really happy with that. Same again this side. We end up with more storage. It's wires and pipes everywhere at the moment, but you get the idea. All I've done at the moment is I have screwed a piece of this charcoal grey 15mm down from these boards, which obviously finish us off on the inside. I've created a similar kind of thing over there with a bit of grey, which doesn't weigh much by the time you cut the wheel arch out, and I'm all about the weight saving. So what I'm doing for the time being, just because I can't get into the upholsterer until mid-June, the guy that I want, for the time being I'm just going to put a couple of these real lightweight pine slats, maybe even 3, doesn't need to be much, and I'm going to make use of my old cushions just until I can get into the upholstery, so it's not going to be complete. It's going to look half alright, and I can't use it in the seating position quite yet because the configuration won't work. Perhaps I can stack them up, I don't know. But for the time being, I'm just going to panel these out and screw my old cushions down, just because we're going camping next week, believe it or not. So I just need to get something done. And then, yeah, the idea is nice professional U-shape there. And then this one will fold out, like pull out across, sealing the gap up. I'm going to put a Lagoon mount there. I've bought just a second mount. So that's it, just a mount to share the one that lives over here. So this is, we've got a bit of a dining area here. That chair spins around, obviously. So got a table there, but then also got all the extra over there. So that's the new layout. It's not quite finished yet. I've got to do all my electrics and things like that. But I'm almost where I was before I weighed it last time. Because last time I weighed it, it was before my bed cushions were in and things like that. So I'd like to weigh it at about the same stage. Otherwise, I don't know, you know, how relevant it is. There's no point weighing it when it's totally finished. Well, I will do that. But I want to know at the same point how much weight I've saved. Yeah, and then I know how to get on moving forward. The bed setup might be a bit temporary. Way down the line, I might be cheeky and get my aluminium welder to build me a frame, you know, ultra lightweight, and then reduce the size of those boards to like a 6mm or something like that. But who knows? We're definitely moving in the right direction. The ceiling looks absolutely banging. There's another video coming on that. Absolutely lush. Matches this, matches that. I also need to show you, how close have I got to go? I haven't even put any sealer in there yet, like some brown stuff to seal the gap, but honestly you cannot tell. That floor is so busy. I'm just so chuffed with, you know, how it's coming out.